Welcome, guys. Uh, do we got time for the intro? You know what? I'm going to do the intro.
Thank you for coming today. Last night, in conjunction with the Pennsylvania State Police, Federal Bureau of Investigation, detectives arrested 28-year-old Brian Christopher Kohlberger in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, on a warrant for murders of Ethan, Zana, Madison, and Kaylee.
Wow, all of them.
I want to personally thank these agencies for their assistance in this case. Kohlberger resides in Pullman, Washington, and is a graduate student at Washington State University. We will provide as much information as we can about the extradition to Idaho and the criminal process. However, due to Idaho state law, we are limited in what information we can release today until Kohlberger has his initial appearance in Idaho court. I want to express my appreciation to our local community, the people of Idaho, and those throughout our nation who provided information to help us investigate these murders has been very impressive. We've received over 19,000 tips, and we've conducted over 300 interviews. To recap this case, on the evening of November 12th, Kaylee and Madison arrived home at about 1:56 a.m. after visiting a local bar and street food vendor. Ethan and Zana were at the Sigma Chi house before arriving home around 1:45 a.m. The two surviving roommates had also been in the community but returned around 1 a.m. On the morning of November 13th, a 911 call was made at 11:58 a.m. reporting an unconscious person at the residence. The call came from inside the home from one of the surviving roommates' cell phones. Moscow police responded and found 2 victims on the 2nd floor and 2 victims on the 3rd floor. On November 17th, autopsies were conducted, and the Latah County coroner confirmed the identity of the 4 victims. The cause and manner of death was homicide by stabbing. Some had defensive wounds, and each had been stabbed multiple times. These murders have shaken our community, and no arrest will ever bring back these young students. However, we do believe justice will be found through the criminal process. This was a very complex and extensive case. We developed a clear picture over time, and we stand assured that the work is not done, but be assured the work is not done. This has just started. Since November, we have remained laser focused on pursuing every lead in our pursuit of justice for the victims and their families. I recognize the frustration with the lack of information that's been released. However, providing any details in this criminal investigation might have tainted the upcoming criminal prosecution or alerted the suspect of our progress. We will continue to provide as much information as we can as the process moves forward. Today, I want to specifically thank our dedicated Moscow Police Department detectives, patrol officers, the Idaho State detectives, the Idaho State troopers, and their crime lab technicians and scientists, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation for the resources and personnel to conduct this massive investigation. It was the dedication of them and the persistence and the numerous hours that led to an arrest. Fortunately, these highly skilled people worked together as a cohesive team to solve this case. I also want to thank our community and the nation. Over the past 6 weeks, I've been continually reminded of how much our community cares. Locally, public support has been exceptional with kind words, food for investigators, and letters of support. You will never know how much your words of encouragement help us through these trying times. I appreciate each of you and each of your kindness. Agencies and individuals from across the nation have reached out to us to express their support to this department. I'm reminded how our Moscow community, our families, and the nation has been impacted by this daily. Finally, I do want to thank our media partners for the help. You kept this in the news. You helped us with tips. You kept things going, and we truly appreciate that. And you are the product of those 19,000 tips that we received, which is an impressive number. I would like to invite Bill Thompson, the county prosecutor, up at this time.
Good afternoon, folks. My name is Bill Thompson. I'm the Latah County prosecutor. And it's sad to be here, but happy to be here at the same time. As Chief Fry indicated, a criminal complaint was filed yesterday here in Latah County, charging the defendant, Mr. Kohlberger, with 4 counts of first-degree murder, in addition to felony burglary, which involves entering the residence with the intent to commit the crime of murder. Mr. Kohlberger, and let me preface, there's a pending case now in court, and I and my office and the investigators have to live with the restrictions that our Supreme Court places on pretrial publicity. That said, I promise you we will share with you through the court process or otherwise whatever we are allowed to. I just appreciate your patience on that. The factual basis for the charges are summarized in what's called a probable cause affidavit that is on file with the court. According to the rules of the Idaho Supreme Court, that is sealed until Mr. Kohlberger is physically back in Latah County and has been served with the Idaho arrest warrant. At that time, we expect that that affidavit will be available to you so you can share the true facts with all of your readers and your watchers and your listeners and all the people who are interested and really need to know what's going on. So please have patience with us on that. We hope to get that to you as soon as we can. As far as Mr. Kohlberger, I can share with you that he is a graduate student at Washington State University and has an apartment residence over in Pullman. He has had an initial appearance in front of a judge in Pennsylvania. He is being held without bond, and the warrant from our magistrate judge here also provides for no bond. We understand that he's scheduled to be back in court in Pennsylvania next Tuesday afternoon, and that a public defender has been appointed for him there. The process at this point is, since he was arrested in another state, he has the opportunity to either waive extradition and return voluntarily to the state of Idaho, or if he prefers not to waive extradition, then we will initiate extradition proceedings through our governor's office. If we do that, it can take a while for him to get here. So again, I'm asking for your patience and understand that's just the way the system works.
Wow, where have I heard that before?
Once he gets here, he'll have an initial appearance with our magistrate. They'll deal with issues such as making sure competent counsel is representing him, and the case will be scheduled for further hearings. Your primary source of factual information is going to be the court record, because that's what the Supreme Court says we need to refer you to. So please pay attention to what's going on in court and have people there to watch and hear what's being said. As an attorney, myself and my office, we are limited on what we are allowed by the courts to say outside of the courtroom. So please just work with us. Finally, as the chief indicated, this is not the end of this investigation. In fact, this is a new beginning. Y'all now know the name of the person who has been charged with these offenses. Please get that information out there. Please ask the public, anyone who knows about this individual, to come forward, call the tip line, report anything you know about him to help the investigators and eventually our office and the court system understand fully everything there is to know about not only the individual, but what happened and why. Next, I'll introduce Colonel Ked Wells from the Idaho State Police. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Kedrick Wills. I serve as the director of the Idaho State Police and certainly want to express our appreciation for your attendance here today. These tragic murders took 4 young, vibrant lives from our community. Nothing we do can bring them back. The only thing that we can do in law enforcement to honor their memories that we know of is to bring this to a successful conclusion. This has been a very difficult time for the families, the university, the community, and the state of Idaho. However, it is also proven that communities come together in tough times. Certainly appreciate the support of the local community and our national audience that has been following us as our investigators have worked through this case. I'm thankful also to you, the media partners, who have helped keep this case in the forefront that generates the tips and we hope will continue to generate information that will help us to a conclusion of this proceeding. I'd like to express our appreciation on behalf of the Idaho State Police to Chief Fry, his leadership, and the entire Moscow Police Department for the way that they handled this from the very beginning. He directed the right people to the right positions that led us to this conclusion today. I've had the utmost confidence in this investigation and in Chief Fry, as well as in Mr. Bill Thompson and the Latah County Prosecutor's Office, who've been a great partner throughout this. Nothing has deterred the commitment of the investigators who've worked on this case, regardless of the organization they represent. It's been very trying and very difficult, as you know, that it has been on those investigators as they do the tedious work that they're so good at doing. The partnerships is what's led here as well. The partnerships between Moscow Police Department, I'd like to express our appreciation with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, specifically the special agent in charge out of the Salt Lake City Division, Dennis Rice, and also the work that happened in the last 24 hours in Pennsylvania with the arrest with the Pennsylvania State Police and Colonel Evanchik with the Pennsylvania State Police. We appreciate what they've done across the nation to help us as well. As Bill shared, this investigation is far from over. In fact, I appreciate what he shared, that this is not an ending, but rather a new beginning. The difference now is, as he shared, that we are dictated what information we can share by the court process and by laws in our state of Idaho. And so we will share, as he shared, Mr. Thompson is absolutely committed to share everything he can share through the court process. We've got to make sure that we don't get in front of that process. And we really deeply appreciate everybody's support here. The relationships that were forged here and the partnerships that were forged have led to this. And based on that is why we're here today. And we continue to believe that the best way we can honor these 4 lives that have been taken is to make sure that we have a successful outcome here. One of the partnerships that's been forged throughout this is a partnership with the University of Idaho. And on that, I'd like to introduce the president of the University of Idaho, Mr. Scott Green.
Yeah, this guy is just awesome. I love this guy.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Scott Green, President of University of Idaho. Today's news of arrest is a welcome one. It's relief to our university, our community, and our extended Vandal family. The outpouring of support over the past 6 weeks helped sustain us during the most trying time. It provided the strength that helped us navigate the international scrutiny visited on our students and employees. We are truly thankful for the compassion and acts of kindness shown to our community. Kindness is contagious, and it provided the light that reclaimed ground lost to evil and darkness. We first want to acknowledge and thank Governor Little for the early promise of financial support that enabled the university to secure our campus and focus on helping our students and our employees in the wake of the crimes. We also appreciate the Idaho State Police and the highly visible security presence that brought comfort and calm to a community shocked and confused by the senseless crimes. We never lost faith that this case would be solved and are grateful for the hard work of the Moscow Police Department and their law enforcement partners. Vast and committed FBI resources brought important expertise to this complex case. Across the board, dedicated, highly competent personnel worked this case to arrest. This crime has nevertheless left a mark on our university, our community, and our state. While we cannot bring back Maddie, Kaylee, Zana, and Ethan, we can thoughtfully and purposefully carry their legacy forward in the work that we do. Our students come first, and that was proven each and every day of this investigation. We are committed to safely delivering the college town atmosphere, campus experience, and high-touch quality education for which the University of Idaho is known. With time, we will heal. We will move forward together, and we will remain Vandal strong. With that, I'd like to turn it back over to Chief Fry.
So now we will open the floor to questions. However, I want to remind everyone, as Prosecutor Bill Thompson explained, any factual information regarding the arrest of Kohlberger is currently sealed per Idaho law and will not be released until he has appeared in an Idaho court. Please formulate your questions accordingly. I recognize there are a lot of questions, and I will try to answer as many of them as I can. Is there an evergreen or
Lauren Patterson, Northwest Public Broadcasting, Spokane Public Radio. I realize the records are sealed. I guess I'm not too familiar with how it works, but can you tell us what tip, what lead, what piece of evidence really led you all the way from Idaho to the suspect in Pennsylvania?
As I've said in the past, that's part of our investigation, and we won't be releasing that this time. We will have those answers. We'll have them as soon as we can make those available to you.
Then a quick follow-up and a two-parter. Is our community safe, or is law enforcement still on the search for other suspects who might be involved in this attack?
What I can tell you is we have an individual in custody who committed these horrible crimes, and I do believe our community is safe, but we still need to be vigilant, right? We still have talked about this in the past. We always need to be aware of our surroundings and make sure that we're aware of what's going on.
Hi, Chief. How soon into the investigation did police and law enforcement begin to spot Mr. Kohlberger as a potential suspect? And a follow-up, how many tips, if you can say, were specifically related to Mr. Kohlberger?
To the tip part, honestly, I can't answer
Great
that
question.
question, so I'm not even going to speculate on that. On the other part, that's part of our investigation, and it will come out. I'd like the mic to please come right over here.
What I tell you guys.
Thank you. Dana Griffin with NBC News. Can you confirm that Kohlberger asked whether or not anyone else had been arrested when he was in custody?
I cannot confirm that, or I'm not sure
Why would
of
you
that
ask
information, but that would still be a part of our investigation.
It's a dumb
Did
question.
CODIS initially return any hits on this guy?
That's still part of our investigation. That will come out. If we could get somebody over here, please.
And then one final question. Is there any message to the online sleuths who slandered and harassed people who they believed were responsible?
Yeah.
There was a lot of speculation going on, and we've always said from the very beginning that we're the official message that comes out, and to pay attention to what we're putting out there to the press.
Very
I'm
classy.
Nancy Liu with News Nation, and we were over at the house this morning, and you told us that the remediation would begin today. It was suddenly stopped. Can you tell us why?
Yes. The house cleanup has been halted, and that came by a legal request from the court.
Christina Corbin,
Makes
Fox
sense.
News. Chief, have you identified a motive?
That is part of the investigation, and that will come out as we continue the investigation. But what we still ask is for people to continually send us things in the tip line. We are still looking for more information. We're still trying to build that picture, just like we have stated all along. We're putting all the pieces together, and that will help.
Chief Veronica Miracle with CNN. Any indication that the suspect knew the victims?
That's part of the investigation as well. It won't be something that will come out at this point in time, but as we continue the investigation and as this case goes to trial, that will be brought forth.
Have you spoken to the families? Can you tell us what they've told you today?
Are you talking the victims' families? Yeah, we have reached out to the victims' family as we always do. We've done that daily and we've continued to have contact with them.
Hey, Nate Sanford, you mentioned earlier that you're still seeking tips about Brian and that people should still share whatever information they have. Can you speak at all about what specifically people should be reaching out for, like if they know something?
I would say
What?
anything and everything. As we've said all along, we know what tips we're looking for. We will take those tips and we will have professionals look at those and decide which pieces of those we need to use for our case. So we ask that everybody would do that.
Angela Palermo, Idaho Statesman. Your department and other investigators on the case took a lot of flack for keeping information close to your chest. Are you glad that you did that? And were you worried about tipping the suspect off?
I will 100% stand behind the way that we handled this investigation. And this all started
Hell yeah.
from day one with our patrol officers arriving on scene, locking down the scene, us calling in the Idaho State Police, us calling in the FBI, and keeping information that was pertinent to this case very, very tight. We want to have a situation where when this goes to trial, there is no doubt that we've done everything right and we've slowed down and we've continued to slow down. We'll continue to do that.
We came, we bossed, and
Hey, Chief.
got
Have
shit
you guys
done.
found the murder weapon or the Hyundai Elantra?
So we are still looking for all pieces of evidence, but we are still looking for the weapon. And I will say that
Bad way to answer
we
that.
have found an Elantra.
Stephanie Becker with CNN. Can you tell what it was like when you got the phone call when the police told you that they had your suspect?
I can tell you, for a lot of law enforcement, it was a fairly sleepless couple of days with as we were leading up to everything that we were doing. But what I can tell you is I have faith in those agencies across the nation. I have faith in our officers. I have faith in the FBI, and they did a great job. But sure, there was some times, even throughout the day, that we were always concerned.
Hi, Chief. Don, you back at CBS News. Can you talk a little bit more about the suspect's connection to Pennsylvania?
All I know is that he lives in Pennsylvania.
Chief Guy Tannenbaum from Nonstop Local KHQ in Spokane. More about the Elantra. We saw reports that you mentioned that you recovered an Elantra, but can you specify where that was found? And we know that that was one of the biggest pieces of information you were asking from the public to tip. Were you able to provide an information on whether those tips led to this seizure of an Elantra?
That's still part of the investigation that will come out in the future.
Chief Glenn Mosley, Idaho Public Radio here in Moscow. The additional police presence in town and on campus, semester's coming. Is that going to continue?
You will continue to see state troopers in the area. You know, we're talking to Latah County as well. You will see a presence of us that we're always have up on campus. We have assigned officers to that. So you will continue to see a law enforcement presence. I'm going to take two more questions.
Hi, Chief. Julie Scott, ABC News. Can you tell us if you eventually had a license plate number to the Elantra and how you tracked it to Pullman?
That's still part of the investigation that will come out.
Chief, hi, Matt Lovelace with the Murrow College of Communication. I want to ask about Mr. Koberger as a graduate student at WSU. Are you aware of if he returned to campus after November 13th? And have you had any communication with departments on the WSU campus about his attendance?
Good question.
So some of that is going to be followed up as we continue our investigation. We'll be asking some of those questions, but that'll come out in the near future. So what I do want to do is I want to thank you all. You really have been the national voice for us. You've given us the opportunity to get many, many tips. And I do appreciate everything you've done, and we'll continue to look forward to working with you in the future on this. So I'd like to thank you for that, and thank you for your time.
Now, there's one thing that he said there that I didn't like too much. When he asked about the evidence, the murder weapon specifically, and okay, I'm not thrilled about the fact that they don't have the murder weapon yet, but they are conducting a search in his house. They seem to have enough evidence to feel like they can arrest him, and I don't think that that Pennsylvania would have extradited him without probable cause. So, I mean, I don't know how that works, but I would assume that would be how it works. But yeah, DNA. Let's look at something else that was sent to me. Let's look at something else that was sent to me here. And I haven't got a good look at this yet. But yeah, I didn't like that he said we're looking for all the evidence. that it could be just how he worded it, but he was like, we're looking for all the evidence, including the murder weapon. So that I was just like, yikes. But everything about every one of those guys that stood up there and talked, they just exuded authority in the most respectful way, the kind of authority that earns respect, doesn't just demand it. And it's yeah, pretty amazing, pretty awesome in the truest form of the word, as in to be in awe of them. Yeah, Cherry, I think so too. I think it's just miswording. But you know, when you do those things, you gotta be real careful. So what we're looking at here seems to be the affidavit of probable cause. And these are always interesting to read, folks. Says here the affiant is Trooper Justin M. Leary of the Pennsylvania State Police. Trooper since 2009. I have served as a detective with the Lackawanna County District Attorney's Office, a special agent with the Pennsylvania Office of Attorney General and task force officer with Federal Bureau of Investigation, and currently as a trooper with the Pennsylvania State Police, Troop N Vice Unit. Throughout my career, I have conducted hundreds of criminal investigations, including numerous homicide investigations. And this is just, this is the other one. Your affiant is Trooper Brian V. Knoll of the Pennsylvania State Police, Troop N Criminal Investigation Assessment Officer. I have been employed with the Pennsylvania State Police since 2008 and assigned as a criminal investigator since 2012. I have been assigned to the Criminal Investigation Assessment Officer as the Criminal Investigation Assessment Officer since 2019. Throughout my career, I've conducted hundreds of criminal investigations, including numerous homicide investigations. On Thursday, December 30th, 2022, the Pennsylvania State Police were assisting the Moscow Police Department in Moscow, Idaho State Police, and Federal Bureau of Investigations with a criminal homicide investigation. On the same date, Brian C. Koberger was taken into custody in the print is kind of bad here. Chestruthal Township, Monroe County, Pennsylvania, based upon an active arrest warrant for for the murder in first degree issued throughout the Moscow Police Department and Latau County Prosecutor's Office. The arrest warrant was confirmed through NCIC and then something else there. And I'm trying to, maybe I missed something here. Oh, okay. Now, this is what CNN says, which is pretty interesting. CNN says, murder in the first degree in connection with the killings of 4 University and Idaho students last month. Documents and sources say the man arrested is Brian Christopher Koberger, 28. According to the criminal complaint, I thought he was 25. Might have been one of the other guys that was falsely accused. He was taken into custody Friday in Monroe County, the document says. Authorities narrowed their focus to Koberger after tracing his ownership of a white Hyundai Elantra seen in the area of the killings. Now, before I continue this, I want to be clear that I don't think that any of this was confirmed or denied. If not denied by these officers and the chief of police and the prosecutor and the state police spokesperson. Because they never confirmed that it was a white Hyundai, I don't think. But this is according to 2 law enforcement sources. So CNN has, and all these places have like leaks. You know what I mean? So Fox News, they got this information from reliable sources. And when they say that, they're not allowed to say that it's a reliable source when it's not. And they're claiming that they are sources in the police department. Now, this is interesting, okay? So these law enforcement sources were briefed on the investigation. And according to that briefing, Koberger's DNA has also been matched to genetic material recovered at the off-campus house when the students were stabbed to death, according to the sources. Authorities learned the suspect had left the area and went to Pennsylvania, the sources said. An FBI surveillance team from the Philadelphia field office has been tracking him for 4 days in the area where he was arrested, according to the sources. Okay, so none of this information is confirmed. Okay. Now, these mainstream media sources like CNN, like Fox, even though a lot of it's bullshit as far as opinions, but I definitely put a little bit more investment into what they say about these crime cases. If they say they have reliable sources within the department who were briefed on the situation, I'm going to believe that, but I just want to be clear that that's just my opinion. Sorry, Cherry's sending me something here. Oh, okay. Okay. Let me share this real quick. So DeSales University just released a statement. I don't know if they just released it, but they released a statement in regards to Koberger's arrest. On Friday, December 30th, DeSales University, DeSalis University, learned of the arrest of Brian Koberger in connection with the murder of 4 University of Idaho students. Koberger received a bachelor's degree in 2020 and completed his graduate studies in June of 2022. As a Catholic, Salesian community, we are devastated by the senseless tragedy. Our thoughts and prayers are with the victims' families during this difficult time. Your pretty standard statement there. So he's got a graduate's degree. All right. Now, again, this stuff hasn't been confirmed or denied yet. But according to CNN, there was DNA collected. And that's, I mean, that's some good police work right there. Because if they just found it on just a little piece of material, his DNA, and they could put it on him, and it's not the murder weapon, I'm just curious if it's going to be enough to convict him. That's the only thing I'm worried about. I want to make sure that they feel like they have enough to actually convict. I want to have as much faith in that prosecutor as possible because he seems like a really likable guy. So I really want this to work out. Sorry, I'm looking at chat too. Yeah, I really want this to work out in their favor. And if this guy's as sick of a piece of shit as I think he is, I'd really like to see justice done. I wouldn't say it's stronger, but it's definitely strong. That's a really good point. You're saying if he's not someone who should have been in the house, the DNA evidence is stronger. Not necessarily. I mean, a good defense attorney could come up with some other reason why he was in the house. They can't pinpoint when he was in the house by the DNA. Well, right. But he can come up with a reason to be in the house. You know what I'm saying? A good defense attorney is just going to take that and twist it. But you got a murder weapon with DNA on it, especially, then you're good to go. But I wouldn't say the weapon is bonus. I'd say the DNA, in theory, I would think that the DNA would be more of a bonus if they had the murder weapon. I mean, the murder weapon would definitely be stronger. Yeah, I mean, right. It's a party house. There's a lot of people coming through there. Maybe he's going to say that he was at one of the parties and nobody noticed him. Who's to say that didn't happen? You know what I mean? Like, does everybody take... I used to throw parties like crazy. And people would just show up. And it was just like, whatever. As long as nobody gets out of hand, people I didn't fucking know. You know what I mean? And everybody's drinking. How do you know what I mean? Right there, a defense attorney could be like, well, okay, well, he says he attended a party. All right, well, nobody remembers him being there. Well, so you on the stand, you don't remember him being there. No, he shouldn't have been there if he was there. Yeah, but that's not what I asked. Do you remember him being there or not? No, I don't remember him being there. Okay, were you drinking that night? That's it, right there. Doubt in a juror. Easy. Boom. Doubt. So, I mean, he could have a reason. He could just come up with a reason if he's smart enough as to why he was in the house. So we don't know where they collected the DNA from. We don't know what the magnitude of how strong this evidence is. We have no idea. We just know that it's DNA, and we kind of know that it's DNA because it hasn't even been actually confirmed yet. So we just gotta wait. Just gotta wait. Just playing devil's advocate here. I just don't want to get my hopes up. You know what I mean? I don't want to get my hopes up. You know, look at Look at Barry Morphew. Now, do I believe that law enforcement did an excellent job and conducted an amazing investigation, swift, especially considering how high profile it was? I absolutely believe that. I have all the faith in the world in these guys. I'm just explaining that with what we know they have, or what we hear that they have, I should say, it's not a lot. It's not necessarily a lot. And so, and I do believe that I have more faith, just as I stated before, I have more faith in them since they are not releasing anything to the public yet. And they were very kind to reassure us all too by saying that will come out. You know, they don't have to say that. They never say that. They just say we can't say that yet. It's, you know, it's part of an ongoing investigation, but it will come out. That, like, we never hear them say that. Right, Mar BMW. That's a good point too. But I don't know. I'm not really leaning towards that yet. I'm not leaning towards the 4chan thing. Again, the only thing connecting that is Kylie's name, which was public. But the only thing that makes it seem, you know, like it holds some water is because he mentioned Pennsylvania, and that's where this guy was found. Pennsylvania is a big state. Now, it's 1 out of 50. Okay, cool. But it's still a big state. You know, it's a big place. A lot of people live in Pennsylvania. So some asshole on Reddit following the case could have, you know, that lives in Pennsylvania could have posted that. But, I mean, like I said, the fact that they're not sharing a lot of information is reassuring to me. Becky G, I couldn't have said that better myself. If it were my dead family member, I would not want them to say anything to jeopardize anything. I absolutely agree. I'd even tell them, like, tell me what you have to. There was a case. I don't want to say too much because I would be betraying someone that I care about's privacy. But there was a case that I was very much trying to get prosecuted, and a forensic interview had to have been taken place, and I wanted to see this forensic interview for myself because of the person and how much I cared about them. And so I really wanted to see that forensic interview, and the detective explained to me that he couldn't let me see it, and I understood why. Now, as much as I wanted to see it, I wanted justice for this person more than anything. I wanted a prosecution to take place. And so, yeah. And, you know, if family members and loved ones are willing to allow this process to happen and just let this happen, and let the people who are executing this happen, and do what they do. Sorry. You know, it goes without saying that we should have that kind of patience, right? These aren't our loved ones. They're the ones that deserve justice, not us, not necessarily. I mean, yeah, as citizens, sure, we want to see justice served. Yeah, in that sense, but they're the ones that the real justice being served for matters, you know, and if they're willing, you know, if they're willing to wait and just let law enforcement execute this investigation and let the DA handle this prosecution, yeah, that's the least that we could do. Um, I don't know, man. Should I just get started on that now? Or should I just do a separate live for it? I don't know. I'm debating right now. I'm definitely debating at the moment. So shut up. Okay. Well, this is just awful. Yeah, I'm not seeing I think she took it down. I know you guys are sitting here just waiting on me here, but like she's just reading an article here, but I just want to get to the because I'm wondering if she took it down. I'm wondering if she just looked that stupid and then took it down. I mean, it would be the smart thing to do, but I don't know. What I'll do probably is I'll go into that another time. Um I'll go into that in another yeah, I'll go into that another time. Um but yeah, that deserves its own live stream. Um so I'm I'm just thinking here I'm just thinking here that all we have to do is wait. I know that that's not the most fun thing to hear from a YouTuber who follows these cases, but it sounds to me based on the stuff that we've already learned about this guy, the stuff that I went over in the live stream before this, that stuff is possibly very telling. Could have nothing to do with their investigation. Uh, Possibly very telling, but I still can't imagine why somebody who would do something this horrible would be studying criminology other than just trying to relate to a criminal for envious reasons as opposed to wanting to understand them in order to help stop crime. Thank you, Mad Catter. Um, Yeah, I mean, I just love to understand why, like, what was the pattern in which they caught him? Because we know to some degree what they did to find out what happened to Quentin. To find out what happened to Quentin Simon, we saw at least some blueprint of how they found out what happened to him. And them finding out what happened to him obviously led them to being able to prove, or they haven't yet, but believing that they had enough to prove that Leilani was responsible for his death. But yeah, I'd say some. I'm thinking tips, because I mean they were really he really lit up when he was talking about the tips. Let's do this. I actually have an idea. Because normally what I used to do, was I wouldn't even go over the press conference live. Most of the time, what I end up doing is I will go over it and then we can just watch it so we could pause it and give our thoughts on it. Because when it's live, you can't really interrupt it. You just kind of.
Last night, in conjunction with the Pennsylvania State Police, Federal Bureau of Investigation, detectives arrested 28-year-old Brian Christopher Kohlberger in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, on a warrant for murder of Ethan, Zana, Madison, and Kaylee. I want to personally thank these agencies for their assistance in this case. Kohlberger resides in Pullman, Washington, and is a graduate student at Washington State University. We will provide as much information as we can about the extradition to Idaho and the criminal process. However, due to Idaho state law, we are limited in what information we can release today until Kohlberger has his initial appearance in Idaho court. I want to express my appreciation to our local community, the people of Idaho, and those throughout our nation who provided information to help us investigate these murders has been very impressive. We've received over 19,000 tips, and we've conducted over 300 interviews. To recap this case, on the evening of November 12th, Kaylee and Madison arrived home at about 1:56 a.m. after visiting a local bar and street food vendor. Ethan and Zana were at the Sigma Chi house before arriving home around 1:45 a.m. The two surviving roommates had also been in the community but returned around 1 a.m. On the morning of November 13th, a 911 call was made at 11:58 a.m. reporting an unconscious person at the residence. The call came from inside the home from one of the surviving roommates' cell phones. Moscow police responded and found 2 victims on the 2nd floor and 2 victims on the 3rd floor.
And I gotta say, these guys, this guy right here would record a video almost daily giving updates on their investigation as far as everything that they could share. I've never seen that before. I'm sure it's probably happened, but I've never seen it before.
Third floor. On November 17th, autopsies were conducted, and the Latah County coroner confirmed the identity of the 4 victims. The cause and manner of death was homicide by stabbing. Some had defensive wounds, and each had been stabbed multiple times. These murders have shaken our community, and no arrest will ever bring back these young students. However, we do believe justice will be found through the criminal process. This was a very
And
complex.
he's very jittery here. I find that interesting too, because I can't imagine what he's feeling right now. You know, I can't imagine the excitement that he's feeling, the relief, just this big stew of emotions going on with this guy right now. You know, and on top of that, the pressure of delivering the information, you know, eloquently and correctly. And, you know, this is a guy who has to remain so professional, and he's incredibly emotional right now and just managing it very well.
Complex and extensive case. We had developed a clear picture over time, and we stand assured that the work is not done, but be assured the work is not done. This has just started. Since November, we have remained laser focused
Hold on,
pursuing every lead
I want to hear that one
in our
more time.
pursuit of justice. We have done over time. We do believe justice will be found through the criminal process. This was a very complex and extensive case. We had developed a clear picture over time, and we stand assured that the work was not, the
So
work
he
is
says,
not done.
yeah, he says here that they developed a clear picture over time, just a pattern of things that took place, where they know what happened. So the confidence there is very reassuring.
But be assured the work is not done. This has just started. Since November, we have remained laser focused on pursuing every lead in our pursuit of justice for the victims and their families. I recognize the frustration with the lack of information that's been released. However, providing any details in this criminal investigation might have tainted the upcoming criminal prosecution or alerted the suspect of our progress. We will continue to provide as much information as we can as the process moves forward. Today, I want to specifically thank our dedicated Moscow Police Department detectives, patrol officers, the Idaho State detectives, the Idaho State troopers, and their crime lab technicians and scientists, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation for the resources and personnel to conduct this massive investigation. It was the dedication of them and the persistence and the numerous hours that led to an arrest. Fortunately, these highly skilled people worked together as a cohesive team to solve this case. I also want to thank our community and the nation. Over the past 6 weeks, I've been continually reminded of how much our community cares. Locally, public support has been exceptional with kind words, food for investigators, and letters of support. You will never know how much your words of encouragement help us through these trying times. I appreciate each of you and each of your kindness. Agencies and individuals from across the nation have reached out to us to express their support to this department. I'm reminded how our Moscow community, our families, and the nation has been impacted by this daily. Finally, I do want to thank our media partners for the help. You kept this in the news. You helped us with tips. You kept things going, and we truly appreciate that. And you are the product of those 19,000 tips that we received, which is an impressive number. I would like to
You see what I was talking about there? Like, that's the first time that he got a little giddy, you know? 19,000 tips. So I wonder if the car if the car was what is what led them to him, I think it's pretty safe to think that Tips definitely probably put this puzzle as he was talking about together. It's very, very it's more, I don't know, man. It's pretty possible. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I want to say that it was likely, but yeah, him explaining that there was a puzzle and and then saying that there's this clear picture over time, they developed a clear picture. I'm wondering if the tips and being able to sort through the tips, because you remember earlier on in the investigation, he was explaining how they developed this whole thing with the FBI where the FBI was going to handle the tips. They developed a team in the FBI just to handle the tips. So I'm wondering if they were able to just sift through 19,000 tips, find the ones that were credible, and then those put together the pieces to this puzzle that he was talking about. It's fascinating to hear this and think about it.
Invite Bill Thompson, the county prosecutor, up at this time.
Good afternoon, folks. My name is Bill Thompson. I'm the Latah County prosecutor. And it's sad to be here, but happy to be here at the same time. As Chief Fry indicated, a criminal complaint was filed yesterday here in Latah County, charging the defendant, Mr. Kohlberger, with 4 counts of first-degree murder, in addition to felony burglary, which involves entering the residence with the intent to commit the crime of murder. Mr. Kohlberger, and let me preface, there's a pending case now.
Let me emphasize that, by the way. Let me just piggyback off that statement where he's saying that one of the charges that they're charging him with is, it's confirmed now, 4 felony counts, first-degree murder, and felony burglary. Now there was no forced entry, remember? So since there was no forced entry, it makes sense that I'm not saying it doesn't definitively say that, but it would make sense that he did not know them. They were targeted, but he did not know them. You know what I mean? Maybe he did. It's possible. Because all burglary means is that he entered the house without anybody's permission. He was not invited and he forced himself in. But now obviously no forced entry, but if you're not welcome there, you know what I mean? Technically you're forcing yourself in. And so I'm thinking, burglary, felony burglary. But I noticed that there's no stalking charge. Usually they'll slap on every charge that they can. You know what I mean? Any charge that they can, doing something wrong with the body, to, anything. And yeah, I found out. Yes, I heard that too. Thank you. And he followed 2 of them on Instagram, or on social media. I heard social media. I don't know if it was specifically Instagram. But well, it does. Well, yeah. That's it. That's interesting because when I was a kid, first time I was arrested, I was a minor, and I got into an argument with my parents, and I had some friends that were living on the street at the time. This is before I was, but I had some friends. They were living on the street, and then I had this other friend who had just moved out of his house. And we knew how to get in and out of the house because our friend would sneak out. All of us would sneak out late at night and then go like run amok. And there was it's Florida, so you got the 3-panel windows that go like this. That's how you open them. You gotta roll them, and they well, with one of his windows, you didn't have to roll it, the bottom one, and he was a skinny kid, so he could get through. And after he left town, we got the bright idea, well, the house is empty, we just crashed there, right? Because we knew how to get in the house. So me being the skinniest one at the time, smallest, skinniest one, I went in through the window, and then I let everybody in through the house, through the door. But we were stupid, and we were making a bunch of noise and slamming cabinets and like spraying WD-40 with lighters and just being dumb and just being high and drunk and being dumb kids. And so a neighbor called the cops, and man, I'll never forget this. He lived in a townhouse, okay? And the way that these houses were, they were all basically connected, and he lived on a man-made body of water, okay? And the only way, like, there was no yard to go through in the back. Like, the cops were coming in through the front. But they also went through the neighbors' houses to try to catch us in the back because we were about to jump in the water and take a swim for it. That was the only way out. But just as we were about to do that, cops with shotguns, get down right now, get down right now. So we, I was like, yes, sir. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not, you'll never take me alive, copper. We weren't doing nothing but fucking around. So I yes, sir, got on the ground. And then, so they took us all to jail. Well, I didn't go to jail. I was a minor. They called my mom, and my mom and stepdad came to pick me up. And, she was like, I want to leave him here. Because parents always threaten that shit. They're like, well, if you ever get arrested, don't call me. I'm gonna leave your ass there, teach you a lesson. And so they told my mom that if she didn't take me home, that it would be like child endangerment or some shit like that. And they were just feeling sorry for me. They were just like, yeah, keep this kid in fucking jail all night. So I had to go to court for this because I was arrested, but I was charged with burglary. Okay. I was charged with burglary. Now, remember, I told you the house was empty. There was nothing to steal. The house was empty. There was nothing to steal. And yet we were all charged with burglary. Now, the charge was later brought down to trespassing. And the charge was brought down to trespassing because my lawyer basically cut a deal and was just like, all right, well, he's a kid. Like, bring it down to the house was empty. Are you kidding? So it's like, bring the shit down to trespassing, and time served or whatever, and that was it. But the charge was technically brought down to trespassing because the house was empty, but it was also because my lawyer had negotiated it. So I'm wondering if a burglary charge can stick if there's nothing to steal, or you didn't steal anything in his case. Can that burglary charge stick? I mean, I don't think that they would charge him with it and I don't think they could have charged me with it if they didn't think that it could stick. But maybe a lawyer can get that thrown out, because when he's being sentenced or when he's being, when the jury comes back, not when he's being sentenced, but when the jury comes back at his trial and the jury says on the count of felony burglary, they could just say not guilty. He didn't steal anything. You know what I mean? But it won't matter because he has 4 first-degree murder charges to worry about. Okay, see, that makes more sense. Perfectly Imperfect is saying felony burglary is a charge for breaking in to commit a felony. Does that make sense? Because I don't think I was charged with felony burglary. I think I was just charged with burglary. You know what I mean? It was a long time ago. So yeah, I'm not thinking, yeah, the whole burglary thing is kind of arbitrary. But the fact that it's seems so arbitrary and they're still charging him with it, yet they haven't charged him with anything else. This guy's only got 5 charges. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't charge him with desecrating a body. They didn't charge him with anything else. And still, there's no charge for SA. That was something that we were wondering about. If they were just lying to us and saying that there was no sexual assault charges, or that it took place, there's no evidence of it. So, since that is the case, because we were speculating on that in the live stream that I did earlier today, we were speculating on that. But the reason why we were speculating on it was the 4chan post. This debunks the 4chan post, I think. I don't think the 4chan post means shit. Now that I think about it, because the only reason that would have made sense to me is if they just lied to us about the sexual assault. And since we now know the charges from the press conference, no sexual assault, he's not being charged with it. So, I mean, you would definitely get more charges if you did the disgusting thing that troll described. So it turns out Pennsylvania, most likely a coincidence, and most likely that 4chan post is 150% bullshit.
Now in court, and I in my office and the investigators have to live with the restrictions that our Supreme Court places on pretrial publicity. That said, I promise you we will share with you through the court process or otherwise whatever we are allowed to. I just appreciate your—
See, he's being real careful in how he's explaining this. Careful in a very responsible way. What I mean is he's making it abundantly clear that he has to follow the law, that by releasing information, by releasing any more information than he's going to release, he's violating the law. And he's not going to do that. And if you violate the law in the process of this, well, then that's enough for a defense attorney to call a mistrial, get it thrown out. I don't know if it's a mistrial or whatever, but get the fucking case thrown out, get an acquittal. It would be enough. It would be enough, I don't know if it would be a violation of his rights, but if he's violating a specific law that's saying that I cannot I cannot publicly disclose certain details of this investigation, and those details are, he knows what those details are, and he breaks that, he could screw up this whole case, and he's not willing to get, he's not willing to screw up his end of this and what he's supposed to be doing. And Kay Rochelle is making a very good point too. More charges could come later. They're still looking for evidence. So more charges could come later. There's no way to know. But he was very clear early on that there was no evidence of sexual assault. So I don't think that I think we can rest easy in assuming that that at least that didn't happen to these poor people.
Appreciate your patience on that. The factual basis for the charges are summarized in what's called a probable cause affidavit that is on file with the court. According to the rules of the Idaho Supreme Court, that is sealed until Mr. Kohlberger is physically back in Latah County and has been served with the Idaho arrest warrant.
Yeah, I had the first page of that. But yeah, it's sealed.
At that time, we expect that that affidavit will be available to you so you can share the true facts with all of your readers and your watchers and your listeners and all the people who are interested and really need to know what's going on. So please have patience with us on that. We hope to get that to you as soon as we can. As far as Mr. Kohlberger, I can share with you that he is a graduate student at Washington State University and has an apartment residence over at Pullman. He has had an initial appearance in front of a judge in Pennsylvania. He is being held without bond, and the warrant from our magistrate judge here also provides for no bond. We understand that he's scheduled to be back in court in Pennsylvania next Tuesday afternoon, and that a public defender has been appointed for him there. The process at this point is, since he was arrested in another state, he has the opportunity to either waive extradition and return voluntarily to the state of Idaho, or if he prefers not to waive extradition, then we will initiate extradition proceedings through our governor's office. If we do that, it can take a while for him to get here. So again, I'm asking for your patience and understand that's just the way the system works. Once he gets here, he'll have an initial appearance with our magistrate. They'll deal with issues such as making sure competent counsel is representing him, and the case will be scheduled for further hearings. Your primary source of factual information is going to be the court record, because that's what the Supreme Court says we need to refer you to. So please pay attention to what's going on in court and have people there to watch and hear what's being said. As an attorney, myself and my office, we are limited on what we are allowed by the courts to say outside of the courtroom. So please just work with us. Finally, as the chief indicated, this is not the end of this investigation. In fact, this is a new beginning. You all now know the name of the person who has been charged with these offenses. Please get that information out there. Please ask the public, anyone who knows about this individual, to come forward, call the tip line, report anything you know about him to help the investigators and eventually our office and the court system understand fully everything there is to know about not only the individual, but what happened and why.
Yes, and all of that is part of building a case. So what he's doing right here, in case you didn't catch that, in case you were typing in chat or whatever, because that happens to me all the time. He's basically saying, if you know this guy and anything you think seems shady that's going to help our investigation, give us the tip. That's one more person that can testify in court if they have something that is, like maybe he was sitting around sometime drunk and going, you know what? I killed these 4 people in Idaho, or I'm planning to kill these 4 people in Idaho, or even something shady that seems like, I feel like killing people. You know what I mean? Something insane like that. Anything that you know about this dude. So now they're going to use those tip lines some more to build a case. Now it was, let's use the tip lines to catch him. Let's take what we took once we caught him from those tip lines, line them up so that we could present a case in court, start to present a case in court. Now what we want is we want to use those tip lines to build our case that much further. He just said this isn't the end of the investigation. In fact, it is a new beginning. So now it's all about prosecution. If you know anything about this dude, and that's going to be crazy because people are going to call that tip line with all kinds of shit. But they have a team that's like, we don't care. We'll sift through it. It's no different. It's virtually no different than a team of professionals putting on hazmat suits and digging through that landfill to find Quentin Simon. It's no different. There's a team of people going through all of the tips, find out what's garbage, what isn't. Easy. Not easy, but simple. Not easy, but simple. So this does seem to be their method of getting justice done here is really utilizing those tip lines, which is crazy. I've never seen that before. Because now they're like, I've never seen that. Usually they're just like, yeah, we're good. We got what we need. But now they're just kind of like, dude, if you got anything to say about this dude, anything to say, and that's where charges could still come in. Somebody could come forward, say that he assaulted them. Somebody could come forward, say that he stole a knife from their house. You know, hypothetically speaking, could be anything is my point. So people, there's just going to be so much. There's going to be, I feel bad just as much as I'm serious. I feel just as bad for those people, those heroes that are going to be sifting through those tip lines as I do the people that dug through that landfill, through 1 million pounds, 2 million pounds of garbage to find Quentin. I'm telling you right now, I give them all the respect in the world because that's gotta suck. Too many idiots out there. Too many wackos.
Next, I'll introduce Colonel Ked Wells from the Idaho State Police. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Kedrick Wills. I serve as a director of the Idaho State Police.
There might be more people involved, Armory. You're right, but I'm not feeling that right now. You know what I mean? I'm not feeling that right now. This guy, the way that I'm seeing it right now, based on the working theory I'm messing with in my head, is this dude totally just screams a solo act. If he was studying criminology in order to get good at being a criminal, if he was doing it to solely get away with murder, because that wasn't a crime of passion. That wasn't, hey, we got in an argument and then things went too far. That's not what happened here. This guy targeted these 4 people and murdered them and got away with it until now. Like, got in and out, quiet. Murdered 4 people. There were at least two other people in the house. 2 other people in the house. Totally went undetected. I don't think he would have tried to recruit. That's my point. I think this dude is totally the lone wolf type. This guy is he fancies himself the Batman of murderers. He wanted to study criminals, learn from their mistakes, and master the craft that they couldn't, so he could feel superior to them and feel superior to law enforcement. That's totally what I think so far, based on what we know so far. Right. That survey study, super weird. Super weird. But that's my point, Armory. This is a guy, because we don't know what the answers to that survey study were. Probably held the secret as to why he was able to go in there, kill 4 people without waking anybody up, and leave completely undetected. And it took him weeks to find out about the Elantra. You know what I mean? Like, this dude was slick as fuck. And I don't think it's an accident that he is studying criminology. I don't think that's an accident. Yeah, we already covered that. Bonnie Howell. I'm calling bullshit on that post. We went over that. I went live earlier today. We went over that. We speculated on it, but we entertained. But the charges, after hearing the charges, it just doesn't make sense. At least not to me. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. So I'm going to go ahead and give my opinion that is debunked.
State Police, and certainly want to express our appreciation for your attendance here today. These tragic murders took 4 young, vibrant lives from our community. Nothing we do can bring them back. The only thing that we can do in law enforcement to honor their memories that we know of is to bring this to a successful conclusion. This has been a very difficult time for the families, the university,
and again, people, a successful conclusion. This is not that yet. The successful conclusion is when he is sentenced to death, maybe, or life in prison. I'll take either one. Whatever Lady Justice deems fit, I'll take it.
Community and the state of Idaho. However, it is also proven that communities come together in tough times. Certainly appreciate the support of the local community and our national audience that has been following us. As
I saw that tweet too. There's a reason why I don't share these tweets. Lou Bailey. Okay, I'm going to explain to you. I saw that tweet. Brian Enton reported that they arrested him. When they arrested him, the guy said, "Have you arrested anyone else?" Just because, I mean, that's a standard question. That's a standard question asking, you know, is he working alone? Did he do this by himself? Everybody was asking that question because, like we were just talking about, I mean, how could a guy be so slick and kill 4 people undetected while 2 people were in the house, and while 2 other people were in the house, and you know, how could only one person do that? So sorry, this is something I have to look at here. Oh wow. I'm gonna entertain this for a second, but just to finish this point, that's some. I like Brian Enton, man, but Brian Enton tweeting that, because what ended up happening was they asked, supposedly he asked if they made any other arrest or if they arrested anyone else, and then the cop looked at him like this, you know, gave him a look, you know. That look could have been anything. We don't have a picture of that look. We don't know what that look means. That look could mean, well, I'm not going to tell you because I can't answer that. You know, that's all that look could mean. Who the fuck knows? So no, that's not enough for me to go, well, he's not working alone. That's not nearly enough for me to think that. Now, what we do know is enough for me to think that he was working alone. Let me take a look at this. Somebody just sent me this, and now I haven't seen this yet. We're going to decide if it's worth a shit or not together. Okay.
I don't have many followers, so I'm not sure who this is going to reach out to. But regarding the case of the 4 Idaho students that were slain and the arrest that was made, I used to be friends with Brian Koberger during my middle and high school years. And then before anyone comes at me and says that I'm just running for clout, I'm not. I have pictures that I will show you. I have screenshots that I will show you.
Okay, now can you, because a lot of people know people, okay, little TikTok girl, okay, can you provide information that can help get him convicted? Because otherwise, whether you know the guy or not, if you just know the guy and you're here making a TikTok video about it, you're looking for clout. Just saying.
I have fearable pictures that I show you. I went to school with the kid. I was friends with him. I wouldn't make something like this up.
Now, I got to tell you, I'm not impressed because somebody knows him. I'm not going to be impressed by that. I mean, the guy's he's in fucking college, dude. I'm sure he knows a lot of people. I'm sure a lot of these people are going to come out of the woodwork.
I am just in absolute shock right now.
Absolute shock.
I was heading to lunch when my mom called me, and immediately I knew something was off because I have the type of family that we don't call each other. So if someone does call someone, we know something's bad. She called me and asked me about the murders. I didn't know where she was going with it until she said that it was Brian Koberger, and naturally I freaked out and called about 8 of my friends. My brother was really good friends with him. My other friend, Brandon, was really good friends with him. I'm going to have a picture of him with him on the green screen as well. I'm shaking still. But anyway,
okay.
Let me show you. This is Brandon, the one I was just talking about. It's his wife, Brianna, and that's me. This was back in 2017. Obviously, that's Brian. Still has the dead.
That shit looks photoshopped as fuck.
It's that.
Dude, why does his head look like that? Damn, I wish I could. And it won't let me full screen it either. See, it won't let me full screen it. And let me put the volume up a little bit.
It's thighs. I don't know. But when I spoke to him back in 2017, he was clean. He was a heavy heroin user back in high school. And it was just nice to see the kid clean up. And at that time, he said he was doing security detail. I believe it was out of school is what he told me.
And why does she look like 5 years younger than him? It's nice to see the kid clean up.
But he seemed like he was better. Obviously, that wasn't true. Here's another picture from a party that we had at Brandon's house. That's Brian there. He used to be a bigger kid as well. But again, that's him. And then at the same wedding, I'm here, but he's back there. He was sitting at the same table as me and my mother. But he is back there enjoying a drink. I was sitting right next to him. We talked. He seemed fine. My mom sent me the old school yearbook. That was him. Brian Koberger, that's him. He went to Pleasant Valley. Graduated with, I think, my friend Christopher, a year younger than me. This is when he nonchalantly decided to make me drive him around the Poconos for heroin, and I had no idea. I thought I was just doing a nice deed because he needed something, and it turns out that he was getting heroin. Sorry, I'm like, my voice is shaking. I might make a part 2. I probably have to. I don't have a 6-minute feature. I only have a 3-minute feature. I also talk really fast, so I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay. So he might have did smack in high school. I mean, I'm cynical as fuck. Listen, it's not so much that I'm cynical. It's just that I play devil's advocate. And the thing is look at what something like that does. So here we are right now. And right now, you guys in chat are going, thank you, Nettie. I hope you're being sarcastic. Right now, you guys in chat are sitting here going, well, did she really know him? Are the pictures real? That's my fault, by the way. Did she really know him? Is she lying? Did he do heroin in high school? None of that shit matters. I don't give a fuck who this guy used to know unless they can sit on a stand in a courtroom and give information and testimony that can get this guy locked up. That's all I care about. Thank you. Was that justice? These are the types of people that BHB and other charity pips will talk to and not vet the info. Right. Yeah. Because the channel that puts her on their panel, like, that tells you all you need to know about them. That's the difference between a channel that knows that that's completely irrelevant and means absolute shit and dick and does nothing to help law enforcement or the DA get a conviction. And then the people who are like, oh my God, I have to know and talk to the person. You know what this shit reminds me of? I'm old, okay? But in the first season of Married with Children, they like go to some place that, you know what I mean? Like some place that is, I don't know, real rural or whatever. And they're supposedly get a vacation and they end up in some Airbnb that sucks and it's hell, right? And the big attraction that they have there to bring tourists in is that they have the man who met Andy Griffith. The man who met Andy Griffith. And that's what they that's what they took pride in, because they had the guy there. They had the guy who met Andy Griffith. And you could talk to a guy who met Andy Griffith. Like, that's exactly how you should look at a channel that puts her on their panel. That is their that is their swan song. That is their I'm actually really glad that was sent to me. I'm really glad it was sent to me. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm really glad that was sent to me because I got to make that point this early on. Because, yeah, it's all you need to know about that channel. Because she will show up on somebody's YouTube channel. I promise. It will happen. But she just totally is just milking this for clout. Like, imagine that. Imagine somebody comes along. They're like, me and my brothers knew Ted Bundy. Okay. What happened? Well, we just knew him. Helped him buy heroin once. Holy shit. You know, like, what good does that do? Like, what? How informative is that? You know, it doesn't make any sense at all that people would be interested in something so stupid, something so insignificant. Oh my God, you've got the person who met him. Like, dude, what's next? What's next? The 7-Eleven cashier? He bought cigarettes from me once. Then put him on a YouTube channel. Put him on as your special guest. I had an argument with him one time. I mean, he was nice then. I mean, all he wanted was my gas pump. I beat him to it. But he was nice then. Just Larry, what's up, dude? Long time, buddy. Thanks, man. I feel like losers like BHB and JLR have made you too cynical. Don't let it get you, brother. Criminologists study these behaviors to research. Love you. Dude, am I being cynical? Like, seriously, right now? You guys think that I'm being cynical because this girl just disclaimed she wasn't looking for clout and totally just proved that she was looking for clout. Like, it wasn't like I'm just assuming that she's looking for clout, because if she wasn't, The only reason that I wouldn't be that I would be questioning whether or not she was looking for clout, the only reason I'd be questioning it is if she actually gave some sort of information that could be, that could be in some way intertwined with the investigation, with the crime itself. Even like, well, he used to beat up his girlfriend or whatever. Even that, that's different. But he used to do heroin in high school. I'm not looking for clout or anything. Just saying, he used to do heroin in high school. A lot of people used to do heroin, bro. Like, that's why it's a problem. Because a lot of people do it. Wouldn't be a problem if a lot of people didn't do it. Just saying. It's what constitutes a drug epidemic. Okay? When it's an epidemic, it means a lot of people got the problem. Okay? Saying. It's nothing that you're telling us that. So any YouTube channel that is like, we have to have her on. Can you get her? That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know about him. I mean, look, see this right here? That indicates to me that you want her to have more info. And you know what's funny? I don't want the info. You know why I don't want the info? Because we just listened to this prosecutor say that they don't want the shit interfered with. We want a clean prosecution. I don't want the info. What I want her to do, if she has that info, is call the tip line, stay the fuck off social media, call the tip line, and then report it. And if she can give a sound testimony that would lead towards his conviction, even better. But I don't know. I don't want to know what it is because I don't want to chance that. I don't want to risk that. I don't want to endanger that. Yes, give all the info to law enforcement. Like, that's the kind of shit that fucks up these investigations. That's the kind of shit that gets law enforcement super pissed off. I mean, I'm not impressed if she does, is all I'm saying. Oh my God. I don't have a lot of followers on TikTok, but I'm not looking for clout. But check it out. I knew this guy. He will kill me, dude. Oh, shit. Somebody done pissed Cherry off. God help you. Godspeed. Patty Barnett, exactly. Thank you. Just imagine, like those heroes in law enforcement, dude. Those guys are just as much heroes. The guy or the lady who has to take that phone call, right, to me is just as much of a hero as the officer that chases somebody down and tackles them onto the hood of a car and cuffs them and says something cool and finds like a mountain of evidence to get them convicted. That's, dude, to me, that person who takes that shitty phone call is just as much of a hero. Tip number 84,649. I knew him. I went to high school with him. So am I going to get the attendance amount of your high school that year calling me? Is that what's going to happen? Like, how many people went to your high school? Think about that for a second. What if every one of those high school people who went to high school with this guy calls into the tip line? People don't think, bro. Sinner, 1977. Thank you. I know a guy who knows a guy. Exactly. Exactly. I mean, yeah, that right there is like a beautiful example of what the fuck is wrong with the true crime community. That shit right there. Yeah, K9 Rescue, you're right. Well, the thing is when it's somebody that you know and they lost somebody close to them, to me, that's the weird feeling. That's like, fuck, like when you really know somebody who gets murdered, like, and you really cared for them, it's torture. It's crazy. Tip number 20,000. I was born at the same hospital. Like, I'd like to hear somebody who took criminology with them. I'd like to hear somebody who studied with them. That's the kind of person who knows them that I want to hear from. I want to hear from one of the people who took the survey and what he was like and what his demeanor was like during that. I want to hear from. Those are the kind of things that could be related or not related, but would make me go, "Ooh, man, that's interesting." You know what I mean? And still wonder, are they full of shit? Maybe. You know what I'm saying? But at least something interesting. Not. I knew him. Right. And honestly, I don't even want to hear from an ex. I don't even want to hear from an ex unless she's like, he was violent. He would say these things to me, blah, 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 blah. And that's if she's telling the truth. You know what I mean? But I'd rather, I still, again, to me, that's tip line stuff, because they can vet that information, verify it, and they can still use that. That's a character witness right there. So if somebody was a victim of his abuse in some way, again, I don't want them going on YouTube channels. I want them calling that tip line and sitting on a stand and testifying for the prosecution as a character witness against this guy. I mean, but that first picture that girl showed, it looked like it was his mugshot glued onto some dude's body. It's totally what it looked like. Like he was posing for a picture. Like some people aren't photogenic though, so maybe that was it. Yeah, I'm not going to get into the BHB stuff just yet. We'll do that. We'll do that on another stream, and I don't think I'm going to go live again tonight. No, yeah, I'm just going to chill. I'm gonna play some Call of Duty. I'm like addicted to that right now. I got the World War II one, and it's like super epic, man. It's like a crazy movie. I'm not much of a gamer, as you could tell, so I'm still kind of blown away. I'm like, my PS4 can do more than play movies? Really? I can actually play these things that are like movies? So that's what I'm doing right now. Call of Duty is killing me right now. I love it. So okay, so it was Twitter then. So Down the Rabbit Hole News got to the bottom of that, and it was a Twitter. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter what social media, but he followed them on social media. Now, if you follow two of them, that's one thing for sure. You know what I mean? But if you guys remember, Kaylee followed Chronicles of Oblivious, and since she followed Chronicles of Oblivious, then she must have followed Bullhorn Strangler as well, and been a big fan of boobs on the ground. So, you know, if it was just one of the girls, that would mean something. But if it's two of them, yikes. So that would definitely indicate to me that law enforcement probably already knew this and probably thought that's why they were targeted. And his sister lived across the street, so it's not a shock that he knew them. Right. Oh, so it was three of them. Okay. Yeah. Chronicles of Oblivious having an exclusive interview with Kaylee's family means absolute dick to me. Because I think that any YouTuber who's not a professional journalist seeking out family members is totally irresponsible. That is definitely interfering with an investigation. So I yeah. Is it legal? Is it their right? Sure it is. It's just a shitty, irresponsible thing to do. So yeah, that doesn't impress me at all. They're fake IG accounts. Okay. I mean, I'm hearing different things from a bunch of different people in this chat until I get all of this information verified. And to be honest, a lot of it, like I said, unless it's verified by law enforcement, I'm going to take it with a grain of salt. Well, I believe it, Jersey Devil, only because, she's the only one out of any of them that knows how to actually like make a video. So I'm sure that she plans on doing some editing and making this whole big epic AWP type thing with it. This big gaudy fucking, misdirection thing. So she could twist it all up to mean bunch of bullshit. I'm sure that's exactly what she plans on doing. Mrs. J. ML Philanthropist. That is not Cherry. That is an evil robot version of Cherry, an imposter. Okay. I'm trying to get the real Cherry back. Okay. The good human Cherry. All right. And if I have to build good robot Cherry to get her, I will. Okay. Exactly. Yeah. It's people. Yeah. Ultimately, people, we're just going to have to wait, you know? Like, see, I'm just not convinced that's her. I'm just not convinced. I feel like it's an imposter. But we're just gonna have to wait. You know, until law enforcement releases anything. You know, this is how I do. I spent most of the day going over everything that is relevant to this case. That's in any way credible, and until law enforcement, I mean, the way that they explained it today, I'd like to be on the right side of social media, that is following the requests of these gentlemen that spoke at this press conference today, saying to just wait till they come out with verifiable information that's not going to interfere or hinder their investigation in any way, because I, for one, want justice for these victims and their families. And they are the men and women that are charged with the responsibility of making sure that that happens. They are the only ones qualified. They are the only ones trained. And once they do that, I will share more information. But until then, it goes back to taking on the tragedy pimps and making fun of them for doing exactly the opposite of what I just described I planned on doing. But you can count on it, because you know they're going to do it. But I am going to wrap this up, folks. Thanks for joining me today. I know a lot of other people were live, so you guys being here means the world to me. So you guys are awesome. Thank you guys so much. I love you very much, and we will do this again very soon, my friends.